It's a rare case of cooperation between Russia and Ukraine. A 900-kilometer train journey between Moscow and Kiev and a return trip the other way. It allowed an exchange of citizens from each country who wanted to come home. It was their last chance before borders and airports were closed. President Vladimir Putin had said on March 18th that Russia had the spread of the virus under control. Now the country is changing tack, acknowledging a major virus spike is coming. By the middle of last week, the government was sealing borders and cancelling international flights. The mayor of Moscow closed all restaurants, cafes, bars and shops, initially for 1 week.
As his country fights a dramatic rise in coronavirus infections, US President Donald Trump says that social distancing guidelines will be extended until the end of April. Mr. Trump also backed away from his earlier prediction that the country would be back on its feet by Easter. He said he now expected the US to be on its way to recovery by June 1st. His comments came as the country's top infectious disease expert warned the coronavirus outbreak could kill 200,000 Americans and infect millions more.
The peak, the highest point of death rates, remember this, is likely to hit in 2 weeks. Nothing would be worse than declaring victory before the victory is won.
Thomas Schaefer, the state finance minister of Hesse in Germany, has allegedly committed suicide. According to the state premier, Schaefer was deeply worried over the economic impact of the coronavirus pandemic. The impact on Germany has been massive, giving rise to fear over the economy slipping into a recession. So far, Germany has recorded over 62,000 cases and 540 deaths. The 54-year-old Schaefer's body was found near a railway track.
It is the vehicles coming in and out of this building that tell their story. An ice rink converted into a morgue, and Spain's nightmare shows little sign of abating. Today, the Spanish cabinet met to agree an even tougher lockdown. The Prime Minister was there, his deputy absent with coronavirus. Spain, at all levels, is struggling to cope.
It is true that, as I said before, the number of people going into intensive care units is still increasing, and there are many regions operating at maximum capacity and many other regions quickly getting closer to the limit.
A month ago, Spain had suffered a total of 1 death from this outbreak. This weekend, it's lost more than 800 people each day.
India has stepped up the production of medical equipment to combat the coronavirus outbreak. The government has asked both private and public companies to manufacture ventilators and masks, among other essential supplies. Automobile firms have been roped in to manufacture ventilators. The state-owned Bharat Electronics will manufacture around 30,000 ventilators within a span of 2 months. A Noida-based healthcare firm has been asked to manufacture 10,000 ventilators within a month. India's Defence Research and Development Organisation will be manufacturing 20,000 N95 masks per day. Presently, 2 Indian firms are producing 50,000 N95 masks per day. 11 Indian firms will be producing 21 lakh protective garments. And that's not all. Apart from the domestic production, protective equipment will also be imported from South Korea and Singapore.
Another early morning, another ceremony to bid health workers farewell. Last week, a troop of Cuban doctors were dispatched to Italy. This week, medical professionals have been sent throughout the Caribbean, to Suriname, Grenada, Jamaica, and today, St. Kitts and Nevis. 29,000 Cuban doctors and nurses are working in 59 countries around the world. And as confirmed cases of coronavirus increase, so does demand for Cuban medics. Medical services are the island's main export, raising more than $6 billion for the state in 2018. But the communist-ruled island doesn't charge for the thousands of doctors who work in more than a dozen low-income countries in Latin America and Africa.
The protective gear was donated during an acceptance ceremony held at the South African Military Health Services Medical Depot in Pretoria. The gear will be utilized by the various members of the South African National Defence Force directly involved in supporting government efforts during the state-proclaimed 21 days lockdown of the country due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The masks and protective eye goggles will be distributed according to prioritized requirement.
We're tracking some breaking news for you now to the Philippines, where a medical evacuation plane has crashed shortly after takeoff. Laura McQuillan has more on that. Laura, what do we know?
What we know so far, John, is that this Lion Air plane, which was being used for medical evacuations for coronavirus, burst into flames and exploded while it was taking off from Manila's airport bound for Japan. We know there were 8 people on board, and there are reports from Philippines media that a Canadian was among those on board. They are saying that there was a pilot, 2 crew members, a doctor, a nurse, a flight medic, as well as 2 passengers, an American and a Canadian. Now, we have not independently verified that ourselves. We have reached out to Global Affairs Canada to try and get that confirmation for you. In the meantime, the Manila International Airport Authority has said that no one on board that plane, those 8 on board, did not survive